Well, hello and happy fall. I am so excited to be back. I went missing in action and got some well-deserving R&R, and now I'm back rejuvenated and ready to serve you. Thank those of you who emailed me and called me to say you miss me on the air. I really do appreciate all of you. Okay, while I was on my R&R, there are some new habits that I have began to adopt and develop, and I want to share some of that with you. So for this episode, we will be talking about the importance and the benefits of eating and purchasing locally grown foods. I know most of the areas around here over the summer have the benefit of shopping at a farmer's market. However, now is the fall and there are still some things that we can get. I know in New Milford we still have the farmer's market going. So grab your pads and paper, and I want to share with you about some of the advantages. Does it matter what we eat? Yes, it does. Everybody eats. Some of us prefer hamburgers, some vegetables, some of us salads. However, whatever we eat is only the beginning. This evening, we will be talking about some of the advantages and benefits why we should be eating locally grown produce. Does it matter where our food comes from? Each and every one of us will need to answer this question for his or herself. Okay? And this episode is not to judge you in any way, but to ask you to reevaluate some of your habits and practices in your life. Is there any difference between locally grown tomatoes versus those that arrive on the truck from 1,500 miles away? What does chemically ripening of fruits and veggie means? Is that safe? Can what we eat really impact the environment positively and negatively? And this information that I'm going to be sharing with you came from the Clements Cooperative Extension based on a research that they have done. And since I've changed the way I've been eating, I have been doing a lot of research to see what is the best thing for me to do. You know, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm this, I am that, and I'm the other, and they are not sure of what the advantages and benefits are. So I was excited when I found this information, and I wanted to share it with you, and I hope that you will find some value from it, just as I did. Why locally grown foods? Have you been hearing the recent news report on local foods? it seems more and more people are planting gardens or making a point to buy their food from a farmer in their local community. Why do you suppose this is? Do you think locally grown foods is healthier, fresher, cleaner, or better tasting? There's certainly a lot here to consider. Let's begin with the news report. Along with the local foods interests, other stories detail all kinds of food recalls. It seems that every month you hear about another batch of contaminated food, along with warnings about eating them. Killer peanut butter, killer spinach, killer dog food. What's next? Is some contaminated item already in our freezer? Only you can answer that question. I remember growing up in Jamaica. My parents were farmers, and everything that we ate was freshly harvested. If you want an orange, you pick an orange from the tree. If you want a star apple, you pick a star apple. You want a grapefruit, you pick a grapefruit. You want a soursop, you pick a soursop. Even bananas, they would ripe on the tree and you would pick one off. We were not storing up things. Well, we didn't have a refrigerator. However, everything was freshly harvested from the tree to our mouths or from the ground to the table. And that's what I am accustomed to, and I'm sure a lot of other people who are listening who are from third world countries can support that practice, that what they grew up on was always freshly harvested. Reasons to buy locally grown foods. Their freshness. Local fruits and vegetables are usually harvested and sold more quickly, so they do not contain the preservatives that are added to produce shipped long distance and placed in storage. This past Saturday, I went to the farmers market in my community. The farmers market closes at 12 noon. And time got away from me a little, so I actually got there at 11:30. And I was just like rushing to go to get all the foods that I wanted. And one of the vendors who was selling peppers, he said to me, "You didn't get any peppers this week. Do you care for peppers?" And he gave me some peppers for free because he said that the peppers will not stay fresh for his next farmer's market. Our farmer's market takes place on a Saturday. And he says that the vegetables would not stay fresh for the next farmer's market. And that's what you can surely depend on, getting some fresh produce from your farmer's market. I want to ask the people in the control room, may I have some water, please? The taste of local produce. Produce that is ripened on the vine has better texture and flavor than produce harvested unripe, then treated with chemicals and ripened during shipping. Nutrition. Nutritional value declines often drastically as time passes after the harvest. Thank you very much. The lights in here are very hot, so we always have to get some water. All right. Improving the local economy. When we buy homegrown foods, you circulate your food dollar inside the local community. I have a friend in Queens. She lives in Queens Village in New York, Queens. And her entire backyard is cemented, yet she has the biggest garden you can think about. And you may ask, how can you have a garden if your backyard is cemented? What she and her husband does, they have the plastic containers. Oh, that feels so good. They have the plastic containers and they put the soil in, and that's how they do their garden. They grow eggplant, they grow cucumbers, tomatoes, pepper, you name it. They have it in their garden, and the herbs and spices. So every time I go to visit her over the summer, I am coming home with lots of fresh vegetables from her garden. Strengthening producer-consumer relations. When purchasing local foods, consumer can ask how the produce was grown and processed, what chemicals, if any, were used, and any other questions they may have. People tend to trust individuals they know, and they become repeat buyers. That is so true. I can only share my experiences because you all know that I like to talk. So every time I go to the farmer's market, this is why it benefits me to go early, because I spend so much time talking with the farmers. So when I go late, I miss that part of the relationship. So not only am I getting the best produce, I am also establishing relationships. So we are no more strangers, and sometimes when I run out of produce before the next farmer's market, I can even go to their farms and pick up the produce right there. So there are so much advantages that we get from supporting our local farmers. You ask the question, what about the environment? On average, most food travels 1,500 miles before it reaches our plates. These are called food miles. That distance obviously has negative impact on the environment. Transportation costs by truck, rail, or air must be added to the price of each of us pays. The transporting vehicle burns fossil fuel that pollutes the environment. Often, packing is heavier to protect contents traveling great distance. And preservatives may be applied to maintain their freshness. All of these things have a negative impact on our environment. Next, economies of scale must be considered. What does this mean? Well, to give an example, one large truck that carries 50,000 pounds of tomatoes may cause less pollution than 50 small trucks carrying 1,000 pounds each. However, the packing, preservatives, and lack of freshness still remain as negatives. And don't forget the money. Would you rather help create and maintain food-related jobs in your local community or send your dollar out of state? There's no wrong or right answer. It's just the right answer. And only you can decide on what the right answers are to these questions. To really understand what's most important about the food we eat, we need to understand the entire food system. What is a food system? A food system is the often complex network of food producers, other words referred to as farmers, food consumers, you and I, or eaters, and the businesses that link us together. The 5 key links of this food chains are 1, production, 2, distribution, 3, processing, 4, consumption, and 5, waste recovery. A local food system does more than just connect growers, businesses, and consumers in a region. It considers the bigger issue of health and nutrition, economic development, environmental sustainability, and overall community strength. Together, these elements greatly impact how people in our community live and interact. Increasingly, these elements are governed by food policies. What is a food policy? A food policy consists of the rules and regulation that governs how food is produced and distributed. These are generally run by a food policy council whose primary goal is to cultivate a stronger and more sustainable local food system in order to bring benefits to residents of a region. Some of these includes the following. Food access. Many communities are considered food deserts. Where it's difficult for residents to find food needed to support a healthy diet. The supermarkets have left the neighborhoods, and the only place to buy foods is at a convenience store. Locally based food systems can help connect local growers and urban residents, added to the availability of healthy foods. Number 2, health and nutrition. A local food policy can help increase the availability of fresh fruits and vegetables. This can help balance the tendency in our society to eat highly processed fast foods that causes heart disease, diabetes, and other diet-related illnesses. Also, a food policy can encourage improved institutional nutrition standards at schools, hospital, and businesses. Number 3, community development. Farmers markets, quick stop fresh food centers, community and market gardens, and other outlets for local foods can improve health in neighborhoods while creating space for people to gather, socialize, learn, and enjoy life as a community. Number 4, economic development. There are many new businesses, opportunities in food production, distribution, processing, and restaurant or food service operation. Number 5, urban agriculture and gardening. Many cities have population lost from downtown to a closed-in neighborhoods in recent years. Vacant lots provide opportunities for green space to support community gardens, market gardens, or native plant preserves. These increase the supply of healthy foods. Number 7, environmental sustainability. Since most food travels so far, increasing the use of local foods can reduce reliance on fossil fuel and relate carbon emissions. Urban-rural partnerships. Local food systems can help connect urban and rural populations by encouraging social interaction and business partnerships. This helps to build a stronger regional economic. The dynamics of local food systems are complex and difficult to influence on an individual basis. However, there are a number of things that can be done to collectively impact the access of local foods within our community. Consider meal planning. Incorporate at least 2 locally grown or produced foods into your family meals each week for the next 1 month, and you will be sure to see a difference. Family food assessment. Survey your family eating habits. Make a list of type of foods your family eats. Think about whether some of these foods can be purchased from local growers or producers. Discuss this during a meal with your family, what they think. Family food survey. Review your family's food shopping habits. Make a list of the stores where your family usually buys their foods. Are the stores owned locally, or are they regionally or national chains? Why does your family choose to shop there? Does your family ever shop at farmers markets? If not, what would make them shop there? Are you concerned about food safety? List 4 reasons why you are concerned about that. I know that there's a high possibility that many of you listening to me right now are members of a co-op in your community. And a co-op is where consumers put together and seasonal, they purchase in bulk the produce locally. And I tell you, around my community, there are a couple of co-ops. However, their waiting list is extremely long. Extremely long. So if you can put together with someone and to purchase your foods from a co-op locally. And we are so blessed here in Connecticut because in many areas, as you drive around, there are food stands and fruit stands where you can pick up your fresh produce. The farmers put those out every day. So, you know, I was speaking with a lady from France once, and she says, it amazes me to see how Americans store up their food in refrigerator. She said, every day we buy the food fresh. She says, I'm from the south of France. And for those people who do not farm and have to buy, they go to the food stands every day and they purchase fresh produce. So their families are much healthier, and there are no preservatives in their foods, and their foods taste so much different. And if you have not done that, I know a lot of conversation I'm having with people. They are saying, oh, it is so expensive. I said, if you think eating fresh is expensive, you ought to try the cost of pharmaceutical. And I know that the pharmaceuticals are much more expensive because I have been there, done that. So I tell you, I am now enjoying the benefits of locally grown foods. And there are some things I blanch and I put it in the freezer for when it goes out of season. But if you cannot afford to do that, just enjoy as much of it as you can do when it's fresh. And I want to encourage you to stick around because we have part 2 coming up of the advantages to eat the fresh produce. So support your local farmers.